Does Islam in some situations allow sex outside marriage, humiliating treatment of non-Muslims, and forced marriages? Surah 33, verse 59 says Muslim women must cover themselves, that they will be known and not be abused. Does this mean it's the women's fault and victims are blamed? Surah 60, verse 4, says about non-Muslims, "We reject you. The enmity and hatred that has arisen between us and you will last until you believe in Allah alone." Are Muslim grooming gangs an expression of hatred they are told to have for unbelievers? Some of the abused girls were Islamically married to their abusers in mosques. Surah 65, verse 4, speaks about divorce of women who don't yet have their periods. Were they forced into marriage since children cannot give consent? Surah 4, verse 23 says that when a Muslim marries a woman who has daughters of her own, he may marry her daughters also, as long as he has not yet had sexual relations with their mother. Nowhere does it say the daughters need to give consent. Can this be called a forced marriage? According to Surah 2, verse 230, if a Muslim husband divorces his wife, he cannot remarry her until she has married another man and been divorced by him. Is the woman in this situation forced to marry and divorce someone she doesn't really want to? Why is the first husband not required to do the same? How is all this moral in the eyes of a holy God, as we know him from the Bible? Muslims take their prophet as an example. Please watch this clip and ask yourself, can such young girls really consent to marriage?
الزواج قسمان. القسم الأولاني عقد قران، إجراء عقد القران، هذا شيء. والبناء يعني الدخول على الزوجة هذا موضوع آخر. فأما إجراء العقد فهذا أمر يعني ليس له سن معينة في إجراء العقد. يعقد على، حتى يمكن أن يعقد على فتاة عمرها سنة زمان، مش 9 سنين ولا 7 سنين ولا 8 سنين. هذا مجرد عقد إيجاب وقبول بين، بس الولي يكون هنا هو الأب لأنه ولي مجبر، فتصير زوجته. لكن هل الفتاة أو البنت محل للدخول أم لا؟ طبعا. وكم سن الدخول المناسب؟ هذا يختلف باختلاف البيئات وباختلاف الأعراف عند الناس. ولنا في رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قدوة حسنة، حيث عقد على زوجته عائشة وكان سنها 6 سنوات وبنى عليها، يعني دخل عليها صلى الله عليه وسلم 9 سنوات.
يقول 6 سنوات.
لا، عقد عليها وهي 6
وتزوجها
يعني
مثلا.
العقد في 6 والبناء اللي هو الدخول في 9 سنوات. ولنا في رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
نعم
أسوة حسنة. ومن قال أن الناس كلهم ذئاب كاسرة.
Muslims become more numerous in Western countries, known as the House of War. Could Muslims in grooming gangs argue they are in a jihad where the following rules apply? Surah 4, verse 24 says, "Forbidden are married women, except female captives in your possession." Were captive women forced into sex, since they surely hated those who killed their relatives? Lastly, Western nations who have ignored Muslim grooming gangs for so long must also critically ask, what does it say about the morals of our societies? What do we want Muslims to assimilate to? Our culture has become emasculated and dominated by selfishness. Who would want to become like us? Grooming and rape is also committed by white people, although without any justification given by their religion. Historians agree that the beginning of Western nations and their development cannot be understood apart from Christianity. However, the Bible warns that if we chose to live our lives without God, as many currently do, disaster will be inevitable. The solution begins when we remember the heights from which we have fallen and go back to them by accepting the good news of God. Here is a summary. The eternal kingdom of God is where the story begins and where the story ends. It is where all relationships are at peace, safe, sound, complete, right, just and good. In between are currently the kingdoms of the world. These intruders are governed by selfish, oppressive, and greedy belief systems. All are characterized by broken relationships. Here is how the kingdom of God breaks into the kingdoms of the world. In the Bible, God has revealed himself and his will as follows. He has an incredible and intense, holy love for us. Yet, we have all failed to keep God's commandments. The result of such selfish behavior that brings dishonor upon God and people by rejecting his love is all around us. Everyone is confronted with suffering in this world, physical death, and eternal separation from God in hell. In his love and holiness, God requires justice but also offers to be the justifier because he eagerly desires to have a relationship with us. Therefore, he took the sentence for sin upon himself in Jesus and died on the cross for it. There he paid the ultimate price that we all deserved, but could never have paid ourselves. Afterwards, he rose again from the dead on the third day. Now God calls us to treat everyone with love and justice too. The Christian message is a unique love story. Jesus has revealed God as suffering with us. In all other faiths, God is distant and absent because suffering is beneath him. The gospel announces the real king and the real kingdom. You and I are invited to pick sides and participate. Start by repenting and believing in the Jesus described here. Be prepared for suffering in your efforts to stand up for truth and to bring about justice. It's worth it. The best is yet to come.